Hi, welcome. I'm Clair Carter-Ginn from Forecast, and I'm very excited to be here today with Metzti Bryan, the Head of Project Management for BBC Creative. We're here at Creative Operations London, and we're going to chat about emotional intelligence. It's the key to project success. Welcome, Metzti. So happy to have you here with us.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here.
Well, last year we spoke to Justin Baramian, the director of BBC Creative, about setting up an in-house agency. Now, a year on, you're here and you're going to be delivering a very interesting presentation about how emotional intelligence is a key to success. Very excited to hear what you have to say later, and we're going to ask you a few questions to get started. So let's first talk about why you decided to focus your session on this particular topic and how you came to identify this particular tool as so instrumental to your success at BBC Creative.
Well, I think where we are right now with technology, with the way that our audience is consuming things, it's changing every minute. So things that we're delivering today didn't even exist a couple months ago. So there's a lot of deadlines, there's a lot of tight turnaround, there's a lot of mystery going forward. At the same time, I think all of those pressures are creating a stressful environment as the UK as a whole. I think there's statistics that say over 500,000 of us admit to being stressed because of work. So I think those two things are at play, and I find that emotional intelligence really is the key to solving both of those things. So you're able to work flexibly, making connections with your team to be able to handle these things. And at the same time, it really helps you manage stress because you're able to better manage your own emotions. So when it comes to starting at BBC Creative, it's still fairly new as well. So we're starting pretty much from scratch. We have a new team, hasn't worked together, working on new formats, new deliverables that we've never done together. So I think practicing emotional intelligence is so important because we really need to fast track building connections, understanding what our audience wants, understanding what our marketing needs, and also trusting each other, because you have to build that trust so quickly to be able to move into the unknown together without going crazy, without getting too stressed about it. So I find that practicing emotional intelligence has helped with both of those things, with both dealing with what we need in terms of our creative, but also managing our relationships and managing stress.
Fantastic. Well, it's interesting because emotional intelligence isn't something that necessarily can be measured or quantified. So has this been a challenge for you as you implement this as a focus across your team?
I am a strong believer of leading by example, especially when it comes to feelings and emotions. It's something that people will feel around them. So for my team, I try and be the best example, have the best resilience, the best optimism, stay positive, so they can see that and I can be a leader to them in that way. In terms of measuring it, I do feel that it is quantifiable in a way because I've noticed a difference. When I started, we were working on our processes, we were working on coming together as a team, and I really wanted to focus on being positive and really building connections. We do wash-ups for all of our projects, and when I was leading them early on, there was a lot of talk about, I didn't understand what that person did, they don't understand me, and you felt like everyone was a bit combative because they didn't understand each other. So when you practice emotional intelligence and you start practicing empathy, I think people now, when I do wash-ups, it's a completely different ball game. Sometimes they're just like love-ins. Everyone's like, oh, I love what you did, and it was great, and I'm so happy what we did, and that's what I really want. So I find that you can quantify it in terms of the wash-ups I've done, and also the feedback that I get from people from all sorts of departments. When I get that positive feedback, when I have my teams that have a great energy, then I feel like that's proving to me that it's working.
So give us a little bit of insight into your presentation. What is the one thing that people will learn that they might not expect?
Well, they might be surprised to know that when you lead with your emotions and you connect with your emotions, you can get the results that you want. Because when we are faced with challenges, I think our reflex is to look outside. You want to find out outside, what can you get to solve the problem? But actually, I do believe that it comes first from within. You have to have the right attitude. You have to build the right team with the right frame of mind. And when you have that, you're able to conquer just about anything. So I'm hoping that people take that on board and hopefully feel motivated by that.
Outstanding. We could all use a little extra motivation in our day, that's for sure. Besides emotional intelligence, what other tool do you find is key to the success and smooth running of BBC Creative during an era of complex workflows, evolving technology, and the flood of data?
Well, I think I believe in discipline, in the sense of always know what you're doing, have a plan, and know where you're going. But that plan is useless without applying emotional intelligence, because you need to know how to flex that plan depending on the team you're working with. So I have a very strict guideline of what everyone needs to know, because you can't change or you can't flex what you don't really have a good handle on. So I believe that being disciplined, understanding what you need to do, understanding what plan you need to follow, but then almost in a way put it aside and then adapt it to the people that you're working with using your emotional intelligence, building those connections, listening to their needs, listening to what they want, and also trying to motivate them and inspire them to go into the direction that you want them to go into.
So interesting. I'm learning so much just even chatting here with you. So it seems that, like BBC Creative, there's a real focus on people. And do you think this is the most important out of the three pillars of creative ops: people, process, and technology?
I think it has to be people every time. And I've been doing this for a long time, and I've been to a lot of different leaving dues, and never has anyone said, I'm going to miss the process the most. It's like,
Yes.
It's always about the people, and those are the networks that you build, and it's also what builds you up when you're in a tough time. It has to be the people, because they're the ones who are going to push things forward for you.
Absolutely, I agree 100%. We love technology and we love process to some degree, but it is the people that keep us motivated and make the work happen at the end of the day. So finally, let's talk about the future, which we can all spend a little time trying to predict at least. And I want to throw a big question out there. What do you think the future challenges are for the creative operations community, and how do you think the landscape will change?
Well, I think when it comes to the future, we just have to expect the unexpected. We cannot predict the future. We can only be prepared to handle whatever comes at us. I truly believe that. So I would think that we need to understand who we're working with, have the right attitude, be open, be knowledgeable, keep our eyes on the ground to make sure that we are following where our audience wants to go, definitely. But at the same time, with the workflows, we spend a lot of time pulling workflows together, and my fear is that if we spend too much time focusing on that, by the time we've rolled it out, it's going to be useless, because it's going to be a whole nother thing happening.
Absolutely.
So I've seen that a lot in some of the work we do. We have some long lead times on some of our projects, and when we come to delivery, some of our social assets, they didn't even exist when we briefed it. So instead of focusing on, this is wrong and why didn't, we have to just be really flexible. We have to adapt to whatever's coming at us so that we can stay on top of it. So I suppose expect the unexpected, stay current as you can, and be ready to get flexible with your ways of working.
Well, Metzti, thank you so much for sharing this information with us. I'm really looking forward to your session later, and I imagine everybody else will be too.
Well, thank you so much for having me. It's been great.
Excellent. Thanks for joining us today here at Creative Operations London. We look forward to seeing you again soon.